There's an age-old debate in cruising, and although it's almost impossible to settle because it's based on personal preference, you can always count on the discussion to get heated in the same way it would if you were talking about religion, politics, or sports. You want to get some people riled up? Just walk into a room full of avid cruisers and ask this question: which cruise line has the best main dining room food? And then step back and watch the fun begin. Hi everyone, I'm Jamie from Sharon Travel, and today we're going to talk about main dining room food, take a look at some main dining room food, and see if we can figure out which one of the 4 cruise lines that I've sailed on has the best main dining room food. Today we're looking at Norwegian Cruise Line, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and Holland America. Now if you want to jump right into the comments right away and say, hey, this guy didn't mention Disney or MSC or Virgin Voyages or any other cruise line that you love, you're more than welcome to do that. But I can only speak to my experiences, and those are the 4 cruise lines that I've sailed with and eaten in their main dining rooms. Now, on many cruise lines, you can enjoy breakfast, lunch, brunch, and dinner in the main dining room, but for today's video, we're just going to focus on dinner time. On 3 of the 4 cruise lines that I mentioned, you choose when you want to eat in the main dining room when you book your cruise. Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and Holland America all offer an early or late dining time where you will always eat dinner at the same time, and you'll have the same table and wait staff for every meal during your cruise at dinner. On a side note, Royal Caribbean has also been testing a 3rd dining time on a few of their cruise ships as well. These cruise lines also offer an option where you can eat at whatever time you choose. Carnival Cruise Line calls it your time dining. Royal Caribbean calls it my time dining, and Holland America calls it as you wish dining. These options are all the same and are just like going out to a restaurant. When you're ready for dinner, you make your reservation and they tell you how long the wait will be. Now, Norwegian Cruise Line does things a little bit differently. They have something called freestyle dining for all their dinners in the main dining room, where you just show up to the MDR when you want, and then you just have to wait for your table to be ready and you're good to go for dinner. No matter what type of dining you have and what time you're eating, serving so many people at one time on a cruise ship is a colossal undertaking. Cruise ships feed dinner to thousands of people every night, and a majority of them are usually eating in the main dining room. The MDR galley on a cruise ship can have anywhere from 50 to 150 chefs working at it at one time, preparing food. And remember, most ships have at least 2 levels to their main dining room, and many ships have multiple main dining rooms, each with their own galley and staff. Now, the one saving grace for all these chefs that makes things a little easier for them and offers the consistency of the food in the MDR is the routine of each night's dining menus. Each night there'll be a menu with a few appetizers, soups and salads, a selection of main course items, and of course a few desserts to choose from. These menus usually rotate on a schedule based on how many days the ship sails for, and these menus are usually consistent for the entire fleet of ships. For example, you could take 3 different cruises on 3 different Carnival cruise ships and experience the same food and same menus on the same days on each cruise. This routine and the incredible effort from the chefs and the main dining room staff helps to keep the MDRs running like what's hopefully a well-oiled machine. Now, to someone that hasn't cruised that much but is familiar with these 4 cruise lines, they might already think they know which main dining room has the best food just by the cruise line's reputation. Now, I have eaten in a ton of Carnival main dining rooms, a lot of Norwegian main dining rooms, a few Royal Caribbean main dining rooms, and truth be told, just 2 of Holland America's main dining rooms, and I've had my share of amazing and underwhelming plates of food on each one of those cruise lines. Over the years, I've collected photos and video of a handful of meals, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you guys some of the main dining room food and see if you can guess what cruise line it's from. Now remember, these are only meals from main dining rooms, not specialty dining or buffets or any other food venues, strictly the main dining room food off the normal main dining room menu. All right, let's see if we can play a little bit of soft dinner music here and set the mood. All right, there we go. I think I'm going to make a few of you guys hungry with some of these food edits. All right, so that was some good looking food. So there you go. Now what do you think? What cruise line did that food come from? I'll give you a minute to think about it. All right, if you said Norwegian Cruise Line, boom, you would be correct. I've sailed on Norwegian about 6 times, and I like the whole freestyle dining thing that they have. Okay, let's see a little more food now and see if you can guess what cruise line this came from. All right, so what about that food? What do you guys think? Did you guess it? Did you guess Carnival Cruise Lines? Well, if you did, you are right. All those little clips were from Carnival Cruise Line's main dining rooms. All right, now the guessing should get a little easier here since we're down to 2 cruise lines left. Will it be Holland America or Royal Caribbean that we look at next? All right, let's get started. Wow, that looked pretty good. So what did you guys guess? Did you say Royal Caribbean? You knew it, didn't you? You guys knew that was from Royal Caribbean. And a few of those meals were from our most recent cruise on icon of the season. I'll tell you what, on that cruise, we ate in the main dining room every night, and it was awesome every night. All right, now I know you know what main dining room the last batch of food is going to come from, but let's take a look at it anyway. Let's take a look at some of Holland America's meals from their main dining rooms. All right, those looked fantastic. And we sailed on the newest Holland America ship, the Carnival, and then we sailed on the oldest ship, the Volendam, and the food was fantastic on both cruises. Now, when you're judging food quality, there can be other factors that play a part. For many cruisers, presentation makes a big difference. I have a buddy that I argue with all the time about shrimp cocktails. I feel like every shrimp cocktail in every main dining room I've been in practically has the same small shrimp in it, and that Carnival's shrimp cocktail is just as good as Royal Caribbean shrimp cocktail. But he swears just because the shrimp are arranged better in a bowl, that Royal Caribbean shrimp cocktail is better. Listen, I know I'm right, but I let him win the argument so he feels good about it, okay? Now, I'm more of a tastes good and hopefully still hot kind of guy, or at least it's still warm. That might be the hardest thing for these dining rooms, keeping the food hot. Even though the plates have those little covers on them, it's still difficult to get a very hot plate of food in any main dining room on a cruise ship. Just like any restaurant, at sea or on land, I think the biggest challenge for the main dining rooms to put out great food is how busy they are. I know they have a lot of staff working together during those early and late dining seatings, and the anytime style dining probably presents a little more challenge that we can't even imagine for those main dining room teams. But I wonder if another factor is how many alternative dining options there are on a cruise ship. For example, when it comes to the newer cruise ships, Royal Caribbean and Norwegian have a number of specialty restaurants that guests can choose from every night instead of the main dining room, and that probably trims down the amount of guests and the traffic going into the main dining room, which would play a big part in the overall experience. Well, we've talked about the main dining rooms. We've looked at food from the 4 cruise lines' main dining rooms. Now it's time to try and rank those 4 main dining rooms. Remember, this is strictly based on food quality because I can tell you that my favorite main dining room choice for overall experience is going to be Carnival Cruise Line, just based on the great service and the fun atmosphere and the overall great experiences we always have. But today we're just talking about the food. And in case you're saying, what makes this guy qualified to judge food quality? Well, listen, I can tell you this. My work history many years ago actually began in restaurants. My first real job was at the Wiener King in the Flemington Mall in Flemington, New Jersey. That's right, guys, the Wiener King. Now, if that's not fine dining, I don't know what is. Now, I continued to work in restaurants for about 10 years after that. I mean, look at me. Isn't it obvious that I know what a good meal consists of? All right, before I reveal my top 4, I just want to say that in all honesty, in all of our cruises, I've never gotten off a ship and said, that food was horrible. And it's funny because I read comments online from people all the time that say their cruise was bad and the food was terrible. And I think to myself, terrible? I mean, what and where do you eat at home that would make the cruise ship food seem that bad? It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, if I could just close my eyes and open them to be sitting at a table on a cruise ship about to eat dinner, the cruise line that I would rank 4th on my list would be Carnival Cruise Line. I'm sorry, Carnival, you know how much we love you, and I've never left a Carnival dining room hungry or not satisfied, but you're coming in 4th on the list. I'm sorry. Now, the next cruise line in the 3rd spot would be Royal Caribbean. Now, I must say that on our recent Icon of the Seas cruise, like I mentioned, we had one of the best ever main dining room experiences in every way possible, but I have to consider my other Royal Caribbean cruises as well in this decision. Of course, announcing the number 2 main dining room will give away number 1, so here it is. My number 2 main dining room choice is going to have to be Norwegian Cruise Lines, which leaves my number 1 cruise line for main dining room food out of the 4 cruise lines that I've sailed on, and even though it's a small sample size, the choice is Holland America. Every meal that we ate in the Holland America main dining rooms was fantastic. From bread to appetizers to entree to dessert. And if presentation is important to you, it looked awesome as well. And I mentioned earlier that no main dining room has been 100% perfect. So just to keep it real and keep it honest, I'll say that the only food item that fell a little bit short on Holland America was the French onion soup. It needed more cheese. So there you go, a look at 4 popular main dining rooms, and hopefully we'll get onto a few more cruise lines in the near future so I can expand and update this list. Do me a favor, if you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe, hit that thumbs up icon, and share the video with family and friends. Before you go, make sure you jump into the comment section and let me know a little bit about your favorite main dining room. Have you had amazing meals everywhere? Did you have a terrible meal somewhere? Share it with us so that everybody can learn a little bit more about what main dining room might be the best one out there to look for. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.